Introduction to Spiritual Counseling. Spiritual counseling is a specialized field that integrates psychological principles with spiritual insights to foster holistic well-being. It recognizes the inherent human need for meaning, purpose, and connection, addressing these dimensions alongside emotional and mental health concerns. This approach acknowledges that an individual's spiritual beliefs and practices significantly influence their overall health and their capacity to navigate life's challenges. The goal is to support clients in exploring their spiritual identity, resolving inner conflicts, and finding peace and resilience through their unique spiritual framework. It is distinct from religious instruction, focusing instead on the client's personal spiritual experience. The Advanced Diploma program builds upon foundational counseling skills, delving deeper into the nuanced application of spiritual principles in therapeutic contexts. It prepares counselors to work with a diverse range of clients, respecting their varied spiritual or non-spiritual worldviews. This includes understanding how spiritual distress can manifest and how to facilitate spiritual healing and growth. The curriculum emphasizes practical application, ethical considerations, and the development of a compassionate, client-centered approach. Graduates will be equipped to guide clients through complex life transitions, grief, trauma, and existential questions with spiritual sensitivity. Defining spirituality and counseling. Spirituality is a broad concept encompassing an individual's search for meaning, purpose, and connection, often involving a relationship with something transcendent or sacred. It can manifest through religious beliefs, but also through personal values, nature, art, or community. Unlike religion, which often involves organized systems of beliefs and practices, spirituality is a more personal and subjective experience. It addresses fundamental questions about existence, suffering, and the ultimate nature of reality. Understanding this distinction is crucial for spiritual counselors, allowing them to meet clients where they are without imposing specific doctrines. The focus remains on the client's unique journey and understanding of the divine or sacred. Counseling, in this context, is a collaborative process where the counselor facilitates the client's self-exploration and personal growth. It involves creating a safe, non-judgmental space for clients to articulate their thoughts, feelings, and experiences. The spiritual counselor integrates spiritual perspectives into this process, helping clients to draw upon their inner resources and spiritual strengths. This might involve exploring spiritual practices, addressing spiritual doubts, or finding spiritual meaning in difficult circumstances. The aim is to empower clients to navigate their spiritual path with greater clarity, resilience, and inner peace, fostering a deeper sense of connection and purpose in their lives. Ethical frameworks in spiritual counseling. Ethical practice is paramount in spiritual counseling, guiding counselors to act with integrity, respect, and responsibility. Key ethical principles include beneficence, doing good, non-maleficence, avoiding harm, autonomy, respecting clients' self-determination, justice, fairness, and fidelity, trustworthiness. Counselors must maintain strict confidentiality, ensuring that client information is protected and only shared with explicit consent or when legally mandated. Dual relationships, where the counselor has another role in the client's life, must be carefully avoided due to potential conflicts of interest and power imbalances. Informed consent is also critical, requiring counselors to clearly explain the nature of spiritual counseling, its limitations, and the client's rights before commencing sessions. Navigating spiritual and religious differences ethically requires cultural competence and humility. Counselors must be aware of their own biases and beliefs and ensure they do not impose them on clients. This involves actively listening to and understanding the client's unique spiritual worldview, even if it differs significantly from their own. When working with clients from diverse spiritual backgrounds, it is essential to research and respect their practices, rituals, and values, Referral to other professionals may be necessary if a counselor's personal beliefs interfere with their ability to provide objective and effective support. Continuous professional development in ethics and cultural sensitivity is vital for maintaining high standards of practice. Client-centered approach in spirituality. The client-centered approach, pioneered by Carl Rogers, is foundational to effective spiritual counseling. This approach emphasizes the counselor's role in providing a supportive and empathetic environment where clients can explore their inner world and find their own solutions. Key elements include unconditional positive regard, meaning a genuine acceptance and respect for the client, regardless of their beliefs or actions. Empathy involves deeply understanding and reflecting the client's feelings and experiences from their perspective. Congruence, or genuineness, requires the counselor to be authentic and transparent in the therapeutic relationship. These core conditions create a safe space for clients to feel heard, understood, and valued, fostering trust and openness. In spiritual counseling, the client-centered approach means that the client's spiritual worldview, whatever it may be, is honored as the primary source of guidance and healing. The counselor does not impose their own spiritual beliefs, but rather helps the client articulate and integrate their existing spiritual resources. This might involve exploring their understanding of the divine, their personal spiritual practices, the meaning they derive from life events, their sense of connection to something greater than themselves. The counselor acts as a facilitator, empowering clients to tap into their innate wisdom and spiritual resilience. This approach respects the client's autonomy and supports their unique journey towards spiritual well-being and self-actualization. Understanding diverse spiritual paths. Spiritual counseling requires a deep understanding and appreciation of the vast array of spiritual and religious traditions across the globe. This includes familiarity with major world religions, such as Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Sikhism, as well as indigenous spiritualities, New Age philosophies, and secular humanism. Each path offers unique perspectives on life, death, morality, and the nature of reality. Counselors must recognize that a client's spiritual framework profoundly shapes their worldview, values, coping mechanisms, and understanding of suffering. Respecting these diverse paths is not about endorsement, but about providing culturally sensitive and effective support that aligns with the client's beliefs. Developing interfaith and cross-cultural competence involves more than just intellectual knowledge. It requires an attitude of humility, curiosity, and non-judgment. Counselors should be prepared to learn from their clients about their specific spiritual practices and beliefs. This might involve asking open-ended questions about their spiritual journey, their understanding of sacred texts or rituals, and how their spirituality informs their daily life. Understanding the nuances of different spiritual paths helps counselors avoid making assumptions, misinterpreting cultural cues, or inadvertently causing offense. The goal is to create an inclusive and affirming space where clients feel safe to express their deepest spiritual concerns and draw upon their spiritual heritage for healing and strength. The role of empathy and compassion. Empathy and compassion are cornerstones of effective spiritual counseling, creating a profound connection between counselor and client. Empathy involves the ability to understand and share the feelings of another, stepping into their shoes to grasp their spiritual and emotional experience. This deep understanding allows the counselor to respond in a way that truly resonates with the client's inner world, fostering a sense of being truly seen and heard. It is not merely sympathy, which is feeling sorry for someone, but a profound attunement to their subjective reality. When clients feel empathetically understood, they are more likely to open up, trust the process, and engage in deeper self-exploration. Compassion extends empathy by adding a desire to alleviate suffering and promote well-being. It is an active and benevolent response to another's pain, coupled with a commitment to support their healing journey. In spiritual counseling, compassion means holding space for a client's spiritual struggles, doubts, and existential angst without judgment. It involves offering warmth, kindness, and unwavering support as they navigate their spiritual path. This compassionate stance helps clients feel safe enough to confront difficult truths, process spiritual wounds, and ultimately find solace and strength. Cultivating empathy and compassion is an ongoing practice for counselors, requiring self-awareness and a commitment to their own spiritual and emotional growth. Counseling skills for spiritual growth. Effective spiritual counseling relies on a core set of counseling skills adapted to address spiritual dimensions. These include active listening, which involves fully concentrating on what the client is saying, both verbally and non-verbally, to understand their spiritual narrative. Reflective practice allows the counselor to mirror back the client's feelings and thoughts, validating their experience and deepening their self-awareness. Open-ended questions encourage clients to explore their spiritual beliefs, doubts, and experiences more deeply, moving beyond superficial answers. Summarizing helps to consolidate key points and ensure mutual understanding of the client's spiritual journey. These skills create a foundation of trust and facilitate profound spiritual exploration. Beyond foundational skills, spiritual counselors utilize specific techniques to foster spiritual growth. These might include guided meditation or mindfulness exercises to cultivate inner peace and presence, journaling prompts to encourage self-reflection on spiritual experiences, exploring metaphors and storytelling from spiritual traditions to illuminate personal insights, facilitating rituals or ceremonies that hold personal meaning for the client. The counselor also helps clients identify and leverage their spiritual strengths, such as faith, hope, forgiveness, and gratitude. The aim is to empower clients to integrate their spirituality into their daily lives, finding resilience and meaning in both joyful and challenging times. This process supports a deeper connection to their authentic self and a greater sense of purpose. Active listening and reflective practice. Active listening is a fundamental skill in spiritual counseling, going beyond merely hearing words to truly understanding the client's message, including their underlying spiritual concerns and unspoken emotions. It involves paying full attention, both verbally and non-verbally, to the client's narrative. This includes maintaining appropriate eye contact, nodding to show engagement, and using encouraging vocalizations like, Crucially, active listening means withholding judgment and refraining from interrupting or offering unsolicited advice. The counselor's complete presence allows the client to feel safe, validated, and deeply understood, which is essential for exploring sensitive spiritual topics. This deep engagement helps uncover the spiritual dimensions of their experiences. Reflective practice complements active listening by demonstrating to the client that they have been heard and understood. It involves paraphrasing, summarizing, and reflecting feelings back to the client. Paraphrasing restates the client's words in the counselor's own words, clarifying understanding. Summarizing pulls together several key points the client has expressed, providing a concise overview. Reflecting feelings involves identifying and articulating the emotions the client is conveying, both explicitly and implicitly. This process not only validates the client's experience, but also helps them gain new insights into their own spiritual journey and emotional landscape. It encourages deeper self-exploration and reinforces the therapeutic alliance built on trust and mutual respect. Assessment of spiritual needs. Assessing a client's spiritual needs is a critical initial step in spiritual counseling, allowing the counselor to tailor interventions effectively. This assessment is not about diagnosing spiritual deficiencies, but about understanding the client's unique spiritual landscape. It involves exploring their spiritual history and background, current spiritual practices and beliefs, sources of spiritual strength and resilience, areas of spiritual distress or questioning. Counselors use sensitive, open-ended questions and active listening to gather this information, creating a safe space for clients to share deeply personal aspects of their lives. The goal is to identify how spirituality functions in their life, both as a resource and as a potential source of conflict or pain. This comprehensive understanding informs the development of a truly client-centered spiritual care plan. Various tools and methods can aid in spiritual assessment, ranging from informal conversations to structured questionnaires. Informal methods include simply asking clients about their spiritual or religious life, their values, and what gives them meaning and purpose. More formal tools might involve using spiritual assessment scales or inventories that explore different dimensions of spirituality, such as spiritual well-being, spiritual coping, or spiritual struggle. Regardless of the method, the counselor must approach the assessment with cultural humility, recognizing that spiritual expression varies widely. The assessment should be an ongoing process, as a client's spiritual needs and understanding may evolve throughout the counseling journey, requiring continuous adaptation and responsiveness from the counselor. Developing a spiritual care plan. Once a thorough spiritual assessment is completed, the counselor collaborates with the client to develop a personalized spiritual care plan. This plan is a dynamic roadmap designed to address identified spiritual needs, foster growth, and enhance overall well-being. It is entirely client-driven, meaning the goals and interventions are aligned with the client's unique spiritual beliefs, values, and preferences. The plan might include specific spiritual practices to explore or deepen, strategies for coping with spiritual distress, ways to integrate spirituality into daily life, resources for further spiritual exploration. The counselor acts as a guide, offering suggestions and support while empowering the client to take ownership of their spiritual journey. Regular review and adjustment of the plan ensure its continued relevance and effectiveness as the client progresses. Effective spiritual care plans are holistic, recognizing the interconnectedness of mind, body, and spirit. They may incorporate elements that support emotional healing, mental clarity, and physical well-being, all viewed through a spiritual lens. For example, a plan might suggest mindfulness practices for stress reduction, coupled with reflection on gratitude to enhance spiritual perspective. It could also involve exploring forgiveness as a path to emotional liberation, or engaging in community service as a way to express spiritual values. The plan is always flexible, adapting to the client's evolving needs and insights. The ultimate goal is to help clients cultivate a deeper, more resilient spiritual life that supports their overall health and provides a strong foundation for navigating life's complexities. Addressing grief and loss spiritually. Grief and loss are universal human experiences that often profoundly impact an individual's spiritual framework. Spiritual counseling provides a unique space for clients to process their grief, not just emotionally, but also in terms of their spiritual beliefs and existential questions. Loss can challenge one's faith, sense of purpose, and connection to the divine, leading to spiritual distress or a crisis of meaning. Counselors help clients explore how their spiritual beliefs inform their understanding of death and afterlife, how their spiritual practices can provide comfort and solace, the search for meaning in suffering, reconciling loss with their spiritual worldview. This process validates their pain while also helping them find spiritual resources for healing and integration. It acknowledges that grief is a spiritual journey as much as an emotional one. Supporting clients through spiritual grief involves creating a compassionate environment where all feelings, including anger, doubt, and despair, are accepted without judgment. Counselors can help clients explore various spiritual coping mechanisms, such as prayer, meditation, ritual, or connecting with their spiritual community. They may also facilitate discussions about finding new meaning or purpose after loss, helping clients to reconstruct their spiritual narrative in a way that honors their loved one while allowing for continued growth. The goal is not to erase the pain of loss, but to help clients integrate their grief into their spiritual understanding, finding a path towards acceptance, peace, and renewed spiritual connection. This often involves a deep exploration of existential questions and the nature of enduring love and connection beyond physical presence. Coping with trauma and crisis. Trauma and crisis can shatter an individual's sense of safety, trust, and spiritual coherence, leading to profound spiritual wounds. Spiritual counseling offers a vital pathway for healing by addressing the existential and spiritual impact of such experiences. Clients may grapple with questions like, why did this happen? Where was God/the divine? How can I find meaning in this suffering? Has my faith been broken? The counselor helps clients process these questions, not by providing definitive answers, but by creating a safe space for exploration and validation of their spiritual struggles. The goal is to help clients reclaim their spiritual narrative, find spiritual resources for resilience, and integrate the traumatic experience into a renewed sense of self and purpose. This process acknowledges the deep spiritual disruption caused by trauma. Interventions for coping with trauma and crisis spiritually often involve grounding techniques, mindfulness, and connecting with sources of spiritual strength. Grounding helps clients regulate their nervous system and feel present, while mindfulness can foster a sense of calm amidst inner turmoil. Counselors may encourage clients to reconnect with spiritual practices that previously brought them comfort, or to explore new ones that resonate with their current needs. This could include prayer, meditation, nature connection, or engaging with a supportive spiritual community. The focus is on empowering clients to rebuild their spiritual foundation, fostering hope, forgiveness, and a renewed sense of connection to something greater than themselves. This journey is often long and requires immense patience and compassion from both the client and the counselor. Spiritual dimensions of illness. Illness, especially chronic or life-threatening conditions, profoundly impacts an individual's spiritual well-being. It can trigger existential questions about life's meaning, fairness, and the nature of suffering. Clients may experience spiritual distress, feeling abandoned by their higher power, questioning their faith, or struggling with a sense of injustice. Spiritual counseling helps individuals explore these complex feelings, providing a space to articulate their spiritual struggles and find spiritual resources for coping. This involves validating their spiritual pain and doubts, exploring how their illness challenges or strengthens their spiritual beliefs, identifying spiritual practices that offer comfort and hope. The goal is to help clients integrate their illness experience into their spiritual narrative, finding meaning and peace amidst physical challenges. It acknowledges the deep connection between physical health and spiritual health. Counselors support clients in navigating the spiritual dimensions of illness by fostering resilience, acceptance, and a renewed sense of purpose. This may involve helping clients find spiritual meaning in their suffering, not as a punishment, but as an opportunity for growth or deeper connection. Techniques such as guided imagery, mindfulness, and prayer can be utilized to manage pain, reduce anxiety, and cultivate inner peace. Connecting with spiritual communities or support groups can also provide vital comfort and a sense of belonging. The counselor's role is to empower clients to draw upon their spiritual strengths, fostering a sense of hope and agency even in the face of significant health challenges. This holistic approach recognizes that healing extends beyond the physical body to encompass the spirit. Supporting end-of-life transitions. End-of-life transitions are profoundly spiritual experiences, often bringing existential questions and spiritual distress to the forefront for both the dying individual and their loved ones. Spiritual counselors play a crucial role in providing compassionate support during this sensitive time. They help clients explore their beliefs about death, dying, and the afterlife, addressing fears, regrets, and hopes. This involves creating a safe space for expressing spiritual concerns, facilitating reconciliation and forgiveness, exploring spiritual legacies and life review, connecting with spiritual rituals or practices that bring comfort. The goal is to help individuals find peace, meaning, and spiritual closure as they approach the end of life. It acknowledges the sacredness of this final journey. For families and caregivers, spiritual counseling offers support in navigating their own grief, spiritual questions, and the emotional challenges of accompanying a loved one through end of life. Counselors can help them find spiritual resources for coping, such as prayer, meditation, or connecting with their faith community. They may also facilitate discussions about spiritual meaning-making in loss and how to honor the spiritual legacy of the dying individual. The counselor's presence provides comfort, validation, and a sense of spiritual grounding during a time of immense vulnerability. This holistic approach ensures that the spiritual needs of all involved are addressed with sensitivity and respect, fostering a sense of peace and connection during a profound life transition. Family systems and spiritual dynamics. Family systems theory provides a valuable lens for understanding how spiritual beliefs and practices are transmitted, negotiated, and sometimes conflicted within families. A family's collective spirituality often shapes its values, rituals, and coping mechanisms. Spiritual counselors recognize that individual spiritual issues are frequently intertwined with family dynamics. For example, differing spiritual paths among family members can lead to tension, while shared spiritual practices can be a source of strength and unity. Counselors explore the family's spiritual history and traditions, how individual spiritual beliefs interact within the family system, sources of spiritual conflict or harmony, the role of spirituality in family resilience. Understanding these dynamics is crucial for effective intervention. Intervening in family systems with spiritual sensitivity requires recognizing the unique spiritual journey of each family member, while also addressing the collective spiritual landscape. Counselors may facilitate open communication about spiritual differences, helping family members to express their beliefs and concerns respectfully. They might encourage shared spiritual practices that foster connection or help families develop new rituals to mark significant life events. When spiritual conflict arises, the counselor helps the family identify underlying issues and find common ground or respectful disagreement. The goal is to promote spiritual harmony, understanding, and resilience within the family unit, empowering them to leverage their collective spiritual resources for support and growth. This approach respects individual autonomy while strengthening familial bonds through a spiritual lens. Group spiritual counseling techniques. Group spiritual counseling offers a powerful modality for individuals to explore their spiritual journeys in a supportive community setting. The shared experience of spiritual exploration can reduce feelings of isolation, foster a sense of belonging, and provide diverse perspectives on common spiritual challenges. In a group setting, clients can share their spiritual struggles and insights, receive validation and encouragement from peers, practice empathy and compassion for others, learn new spiritual coping strategies. The counselor facilitates the group process, ensuring a safe and respectful environment where all voices are heard and valued. The collective wisdom and shared vulnerability within the group can accelerate individual spiritual growth and healing. It leverages the power of community for spiritual support. Effective group spiritual counseling utilizes specific techniques to maximize engagement and spiritual growth. These may include facilitated discussions on spiritual themes like forgiveness, gratitude, or purpose, guided meditations or contemplative practices tailored for group participation, sharing personal spiritual narratives or testimonies, experiential exercises that encourage spiritual reflection and connection. The counselor's role involves setting clear boundaries, managing group dynamics, and gently guiding participants towards deeper spiritual inquiry. They encourage active participation while respecting individual comfort levels. The synergy created within a spiritual counseling group can lead to profound insights and a strengthened sense of spiritual community, empowering individuals to navigate their spiritual paths with greater confidence and support. Mindfulness and meditation in practice. Mindfulness and meditation are powerful tools in spiritual counseling, offering pathways to cultivate inner peace, self-awareness, and spiritual connection. Mindfulness involves paying attention to the present moment without judgment, observing thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations as they arise. This practice can help clients reduce stress, manage difficult emotions, and develop a greater sense of presence in their lives. Meditation, often a more structured practice, involves focusing the mind on a particular object, thought, or activity to train attention and awareness. Both practices can deepen a client's spiritual connection by fostering a sense of quietude and receptivity to inner wisdom. They are adaptable to various spiritual traditions and can be practiced by anyone. Integrating mindfulness and meditation into spiritual counseling involves teaching clients practical techniques and guiding them through exercises. This might include breath awareness meditations to anchor attention, body scan meditations to cultivate present moment awareness, loving kindness meditations to foster compassion, walking meditations to connect with nature. Counselors help clients understand the spiritual benefits of these practices, such as increased clarity, reduced reactivity, and a deeper sense of connection to their authentic self or a higher power. These practices empower clients to cultivate inner resources for spiritual resilience and well-being, providing tangible tools for navigating life's challenges with greater calm and insight. The emphasis is on gentle, consistent practice, tailored to the client's comfort and spiritual orientation. Prayer and ritual in counseling. Prayer and ritual are deeply ingrained in many spiritual traditions and can be powerful resources for clients in spiritual counseling. Prayer, in its broadest sense, is a form of communication or communion with the divine or a higher power, offering solace, guidance, and a sense of connection. Rituals are symbolic actions or sequences of actions that hold personal or communal meaning, often marking transitions, expressing devotion, or facilitating healing. In counseling, these practices are approached with utmost respect for the client's beliefs, never imposed. Counselors help clients explore the role of prayer in their lives, meaningful rituals they might engage in, how these practices can support their well-being, how to adapt or create new rituals for personal healing. The goal is to empower clients to utilize these spiritual tools in ways that resonate with their authentic self. Integrating prayer and ritual into counseling requires sensitivity and a client-centered approach. Counselors may invite clients to share their experiences with prayer or ritual, exploring how these practices bring them comfort, meaning, or strength. They might suggest journaling about prayer experiences or creating a personal ritual to honor a loss or mark a new beginning. For clients who are struggling with their traditional practices, the counselor can help them explore new forms of spiritual expression that feel more authentic. It is crucial for counselors to maintain professional boundaries, ensuring that any engagement with prayer or ritual in session is initiated by the client and serves their therapeutic goals. The focus remains on the client's spiritual autonomy and their unique path to healing and connection. Interfaith and cross-cultural competence. Interfaith and cross-cultural competence are essential for spiritual counselors working in today's diverse world. This competence involves understanding, respecting, and effectively engaging with clients from a wide range of religious and spiritual backgrounds, as well as those with no specific spiritual affiliation. It moves beyond mere tolerance to genuine appreciation for different worldviews. Counselors must be aware of their own cultural and spiritual biases and actively work to prevent them from impacting the therapeutic relationship. This includes recognizing how cultural norms influence spiritual expression, communication styles, and expectations of counseling. The goal is to provide inclusive and respectful care that honors the client's unique identity. Developing interfaith and cross-cultural competence is an ongoing process that requires continuous learning and self-reflection. Counselors can enhance their competence by studying various religious and spiritual traditions, engaging in interfaith dialogue and community events, seeking supervision from culturally diverse mentors, practicing cultural humility, acknowledging what they don't know. It also involves adapting counseling techniques to be culturally appropriate and sensitive. For example, understanding the role of family in certain cultures or the significance of specific rituals can greatly enhance the effectiveness of spiritual interventions. By embracing diversity, spiritual counselors can build stronger therapeutic alliances and provide more meaningful and impactful support to all clients, fostering healing that is deeply rooted in their cultural and spiritual context. Self-care for the spiritual counselor. Spiritual counseling can be deeply rewarding, but also emotionally and spiritually demanding. Therefore, robust self-care practices are not merely beneficial, but essential for the counselor's well-being and sustained effectiveness. Counselors often bear witness to profound suffering, spiritual crises, and existential angst, which can lead to compassion fatigue or burnout if not managed properly. Self-care involves intentionally engaging in activities that replenish one's physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual energy. It is a commitment to nurturing oneself so that one can continue to offer presence and support to clients. Prioritizing self-care is an ethical imperative, ensuring the counselor remains grounded and resilient. Effective self-care strategies for spiritual counselors encompass a wide range of practices. These may include maintaining a personal spiritual practice that nourishes their soul, engaging in regular physical activity and healthy eating, setting clear professional boundaries to prevent overextension, seeking supervision and peer support to process challenging cases, taking regular breaks and vacations to rest and recharge, pursuing hobbies and interests outside of work. It is crucial for counselors to identify what truly rejuvenates them and to integrate these practices consistently into their lives. By prioritizing their own well-being, spiritual counselors can sustain their capacity for empathy, compassion, and presence, ultimately providing higher quality care to their clients and preventing professional exhaustion. Burnout prevention strategies. Burnout is a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by prolonged or excessive stress, particularly prevalent in helping professions like spiritual counseling. It manifests as feelings of cynicism, detachment, reduced personal accomplishment, and a lack of energy. Recognizing the early signs of burnout is crucial for prevention. These signs can include chronic fatigue and sleep disturbances, irritability and decreased patience, loss of empathy or compassion, increased cynicism towards clients or work, difficulty concentrating and making decisions. Addressing these symptoms proactively was vital to maintaining professional effectiveness and personal well-being. Ignoring them can lead to severe personal and professional consequences, impacting both the counselor and their clients. Implementing effective burnout prevention strategies requires intentional effort and a holistic approach. Key strategies include establishing clear boundaries between work and personal life, regularly engaging in restorative activities and hobbies, maintaining a strong support network of peers and supervisors, practicing mindfulness and stress reduction techniques, ensuring adequate sleep, nutrition, and physical activity, periodically reviewing caseloads and workload to prevent overload. Spiritual counselors can also draw upon their own spiritual practices for resilience and renewal, finding solace and perspective in their beliefs. Proactive and consistent application of these strategies helps counselors sustain their passion for their work, maintain their empathetic capacity, and continue to provide high-quality spiritual support to those in need. ensuring long-term professional satisfaction and personal health. Supervision and professional development. Supervision and ongoing professional development are indispensable components of ethical and effective spiritual counseling practice. Supervision provides a dedicated space for counselors to reflect on their work, process challenging cases, receive constructive feedback, and ensure adherence to ethical guidelines. It offers a protective layer for both the counselor and the client, promoting best practices and preventing burnout. A skilled supervisor can help counselors identify blind spots, refine their skills, and navigate complex spiritual and ethical dilemmas. This collaborative relationship fosters continuous learning and growth, ensuring that counselors remain competent and compassionate in their service to clients. It is a cornerstone of professional accountability and excellence. Professional development extends beyond supervision, encompassing a commitment to lifelong learning and staying current with advancements in the field. This includes attending workshops, conferences, and seminars on spiritual counseling and related topics, engaging in continuous reading and research, pursuing advanced certifications or specializations, participating in peer consultation groups. These activities enhance a counselor's knowledge base, refine their skills, and broaden their understanding of diverse spiritual perspectives and therapeutic modalities. By actively engaging in professional development, spiritual counselors demonstrate their dedication to providing the highest quality of care, adapting their practice to meet evolving client needs, and contributing to the growth and integrity of the spiritual counseling profession. It ensures their practice remains dynamic and informed. Building a spiritual counseling practice. Establishing a spiritual counseling practice involves more than just clinical skills. It requires a strategic approach to business development and ethical marketing. Counselors must consider their niche, target clientele, and the unique value proposition they offer. This includes developing a clear mission statement and practice philosophy, creating a professional website and online presence, networking with other professionals and spiritual communities, understanding legal and regulatory requirements for private practice. Building a strong foundation ensures the practice is sustainable and reaches those who can benefit most from spiritual support. It is about aligning one's spiritual calling with practical business acumen. Thoughtful planning is key to success. Marketing a spiritual counseling practice ethically involves communicating services clearly and authentically, without making exaggerated claims or promises. Counselors should focus on educating potential clients about the benefits of spiritual counseling and how it differs from other therapeutic modalities. Strategies might include offering workshops or presentations on spiritual well-being topics, writing articles or blog posts that share insights, utilizing social media responsibly to share valuable content, obtaining appropriate certifications, and displaying credentials. Word-of-mouth referrals from satisfied clients and trusted colleagues are often the most powerful form of marketing in this field. The goal is to build a reputation for integrity, compassion, and effectiveness, attracting clients who resonate with the counselor's approach and are genuinely seeking spiritual support. This ensures a practice built on trust and genuine connection. Legal and professional boundaries. Maintaining clear legal and professional boundaries is non-negotiable in spiritual counseling to protect both the client and the counselor. These boundaries define the appropriate limits of the therapeutic relationship, ensuring it remains focused on the client's well-being and avoids exploitation or harm. Key areas include confidentiality and its limits, example, duty to warn, informed consent processes, avoidance of dual relationships, professional and personal, financial arrangements and fee structures, appropriate use of touch and self-disclosure. Adherence to these boundaries prevents ethical breaches, legal complications, and erosion of trust. Counselors must be well-versed in the laws and professional codes of conduct relevant to their jurisdiction and practice area. This ensures a safe and ethical therapeutic environment. Navigating boundary issues, especially in the nuanced realm of spirituality, requires careful judgment and ongoing self-reflection. Spiritual counseling often involves deep personal sharing, which can sometimes blur lines if not managed carefully. Counselors must be vigilant about potential boundary crossings, minor deviations, and boundary violations, serious breaches. For example, accepting gifts of significant value or engaging in social relationships with clients outside of sessions are generally considered inappropriate. When in doubt, counselors should consult with supervisors or ethical committees. Clear communication with clients about boundaries from the outset is essential, setting expectations and fostering a transparent relationship. Upholding these boundaries is an act of care and respect, safeguarding the integrity of the spiritual counseling profession and the well-being of those it serves. Research in spiritual counseling. Engaging with research is vital for advancing the field of spiritual counseling, ensuring that practices are evidence-informed and effective. Research helps to validate the efficacy of spiritual interventions, identify best practices for different client populations, understand the mechanisms through which spirituality impacts well-being, explore the spiritual experiences of diverse groups. By staying abreast of current research, counselors can integrate empirically supported approaches into their practice, enhancing credibility and accountability. It moves the field beyond anecdotal evidence towards a more rigorous, scientific understanding of spiritual healing. This commitment to research strengthens the profession and ultimately benefits clients by ensuring they receive the most effective care available. Spiritual counselors can contribute to and utilize research in several ways. This includes reading peer-reviewed journals and academic publications, attending research presentations at conferences, participating in research studies as practitioners or subjects, conducting their own small-scale research or case studies with ethical approval. It is also important to critically evaluate research findings, considering methodology, sample size, and potential biases. Understanding research literacy allows counselors to discern reliable information from less credible sources. By actively engaging with research, spiritual counselors not only enhance their own practice, but also contribute to the growing body of knowledge that supports the integration of spirituality into mental health care, advocating for the recognition and importance of spiritual dimensions in healing. Conclusion and future directions. The Advanced Diploma in Spiritual Counseling equips practitioners with a comprehensive understanding and advanced skills to integrate spiritual dimensions into their therapeutic work. This course has emphasized the importance of ethical practice, cultural competence, and a client-centered approach, ensuring that counselors can effectively support individuals from diverse spiritual backgrounds. By exploring topics such as grief, trauma, illness, and family dynamics through a spiritual lens, graduates are prepared to address the holistic needs of their clients. The program fosters a deep appreciation for the human spiritual journey and the profound impact it has on overall well-being. It underscores that spiritual counseling is a vital and evolving field, offering unique pathways to healing and growth. Looking ahead, the field of spiritual counseling is poised for continued growth and integration within mainstream healthcare and mental health services. Future directions include increased research to further validate spiritual interventions, greater collaboration with medical and mental health professionals, development of specialized spiritual counseling programs for specific populations, advocacy for the recognition of spiritual care as an essential component of holistic health. As societies become more diverse and individuals increasingly seek meaning and purpose, the demand for skilled spiritual counselors will undoubtedly rise. Graduates of this program are well positioned to be leaders in this evolving field, contributing to a more compassionate and spiritually informed approach to human care. The journey of spiritual counseling is one of continuous learning, adaptation, and profound service to humanity.